So welcome back, everyone. We're so happy to have you for session 2 of our 4-part marketing series. Again, my name is Aubrey Gallegos. I'm the programs manager for the Good Meat Project, and so thrilled to see you all back for our second session here. Last week, we dove into developing your brand with Craig McCanch, and this week we're building off of that and diving into building a marketing plan with the Good Meat Project Executive Director, Michele Thorne. Really excited to get into this session with you all. Just a couple quick housekeeping things. Um, we're just going to do kind of very similar to last time. We'll have the actual workshop session, and then there will be time at the end for question and answer. Feel free to drop questions in the chat as they come up. We won't answer them in real time, but we'll keep a list and we'll make sure that we get to all of those at the end. And again, if you're able to come off camera or to come on camera on screen, we love getting to see folks' faces, knowing that you may also be out doing chores and, may not be able to. But if you're able to, we love to see you. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Taylor to do a little intro for Quivira.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's so great to see everybody. This is such an awesome group, and I have been learning so much in this webinar series. So I'm stoked to be here. My name is Taylor Mulia. I work for the Quivira Coalition. Michele, you can advance to our next slide. Perfect. So if you haven't heard of Quivira yet, we are a nonprofit based in Santa Fe, New Mexico, but we work all throughout the Intermountain West, and through education, innovation, and collaboration, we work in coalition with ranchers, farmers, government agencies, and land stewards to foster resilience on working lands. So just a couple tenets of our work: holistic and regenerative land stewardship, the Radical Center, which is a big topic. If you're interested in learning more, you can go visit our website. Obviously, one of our core values is justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, and the viability of land-based solutions to the climate crisis. Go ahead, Michele. Thank you. Okay, so really quick, I won't go through this all, but I work specifically at Quivira in the New Agrarian Program. We used to just have an apprenticeship, but now we have ballooned into an apprenticeship and 2 types of fellowships. So the Regen Ag Fellowship is open right now. If folks are not able to actually relocate to an apprenticeship at one of our sites, they can still plug into all of our resources. So if you're interested in that, you can find more on our website. And then we also have a manager fellowship, which is fully underway, starts in November every year. We have about 4 folks on this call who are manager fellows right now, and they're deep diving into business and management topics. And so that's a great way to plug in as well if you are a young beginning business owner in the agriculture space. We also have 2 podcasts, job board, newsletter, great ways to plug in. So I'll leave it at that and pass it off to Nina.
Cool. Thanks, Taylor. My name's Nina Listro. I'm the director of Quivira's Carbon Rancher program. And I won't go too much into that, but our main tenets are building resilience through soil health on working lands. Our biggest project right now, which I think last week Shumasa probably told you all a little bit more in detail, but it's our Soil to Supper program, and it's a partnership for climate smart commodities project. And we're working with, our goal is to work with 50 producers between 2023 and 2028 to deploy organic amendments on dry, non-irrigated rangeland. And then producers, if they're interested, can also get technical assistance for learning how to produce their own organic amendment, whether that's compost or biochar. And then they can also get resources like this marketing series, office hours for that, business planning and grazing planning, along with the organic amendment technical assistance. But if you're interested in learning more, you can go to soiltosupper.org. That's our main project website. And I'll just pass it back to Aubrey.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, this marketing series is thanks to our partnership with Quivira Coalition and these 2 amazing projects that they're running, Soil to Supper and the New Agrarian Program. So if you're not a part of those programs, definitely take a look because they're offering some really great resources for livestock farmers. And so with that, I want to go ahead and get us started for the reason we're all here, which is to go ahead and dive into learning how to build a marketing plan. This is an important part of the next step in your overall marketing strategy. And our inimitable executive director, Michele Thorne, is going to be leading this workshop for you. So I will go ahead and pass it off to Michele.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks everybody for being here. Thank you to Quivira. Thank you to our amazing staff. And thank you to all of you for your attention for this session. We're excited. I love doing this work, so I'm really excited to be doing this with you this morning. From the poll that you voted in when you came in the door this morning, the number one thing from that poll was feeling more confident in your marketing and your strategy. So hopefully we will be able to accomplish that today. There's another poll that we just want to ask you about from what you learned last week and what did you find most useful from last week's session. So feel free to take a second to make your decision there while I talk about what you learned last week. My goodness. I better get my calendar up to speed. So last week you learned about your brand positioning statement, right? And making it specific, well-defined, clear, and unambiguous, making it measurable, right? With specific criteria, making it achievable, relevant, and time-based, right? So starting from the inside out, exploring your competition, defining your customer, defining your category, and determining your unique benefits. So hopefully all of those things. I know maybe for some of you, this is new information. Luckily, we've got office hours this weekend with Craig, so you can ask some of those questions if by chance, you had questions about what you learned. But it looks like in the poll right now, the one that was the most popular was learning how to build your brand positioning statement. So with that, which is very exciting, let's look at that brand positioning statement. So for everyone who was here last week, this was the formula, right? The formula was for your brand positioning statement for enter your target market, right? Our brand is the only one among all. Then you add your competitive set that then you enter your unique value claim or primary point of difference because, and then you enter the reasons to believe. So I'm going to put some people on the spot here and ask if anyone actually has a draft of their brand positioning statement. And if so, and you'd like to share it, there's no judgment here, but it was an exercise. And it would be great to hear if anyone has actually created a brand positioning statement. Anyone? No, I see. I see
I can
some.
go.
Okay, great.
Of course, this is just a draft.
Yes.
For health-conscious parents, farm-raised people, my brand is the only one among all beef brands that is affordable, that makes it easy to obtain healthy meat because we offer reasonable prices and a wide variety of delicious cuts with educational points on your chosen option of finish. It's kind of long, isn't it?
It is long, but that's a really, really great start. Thanks for sharing, Shandy. That was great. I hope that you attend office hours with Craig tomorrow. And, if you have any questions about how to refine that. But that was a really great start. I love that. I love that you, especially the reasons to believe that you put in there at the end. That was really great. I don't want to spend a lot of time on the brand positioning statement because we will have office hours tomorrow, so we can talk with Craig about that. And I want to make sure that we get to everything today. So let's dive into why you need a marketing plan. So a lot of businesses, especially small businesses that are run by families, believe in a run and gun, shoot from the hip, let's just get it started, keep things flexible approach. And it can work for a while. But when you want to channel your energy into more predictable long-term success, it's really good to plan. And I know you've all heard of the quote, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So it's always really good to have some kind of marketing plan. It's really, really important for a lot of reasons. It's because it gives you a roadmap to where you're going. It gives you some opportunity to kind of assess where you are and look at qualitative and quantitative data along the way. If you have to pivot, it can save you money. It can really help dial in your messaging. Like there's so many reasons for having a marketing plan, and those are just a few. So it helps you get really serious about 4 critical things. So tightening and officially setting your sales or other marketing goals for the year, which is really helpful when you're running a business, especially for farmers and ranchers. You know, we're always bogged down with the never-ending list of things to do. So it also forces you to actually think about multiple ways of achieving these goals, right? And pursuing the best way. Of course, best meaning is relative, but in this case, we mean that it's on brand, it's feasible with your resources, it has multiple benefits, and it works hard versus like you having to always think about what your competitors are doing. It will another critical thing is researching and identifying and capturing customer-centric themes or ideas across the year that you can leverage. So really focusing your plan around your customer, right? And we're going to talk about this a little bit more deeply in a moment, but identifying customer-centric like activities and really understanding what those are throughout the year is going to be really critical and beneficial for you. And investing your internal business flow to capture key annual milestones that are embedded in your operations. And we're going to talk more about that too. Another big benefit of having a marketing plan that spans the entire year is that when a new opportunity arises, you'll be able to make a better decision about whether this takes you off course. And if so, is the benefit big enough to justify the adjustment, right? Opportunities are always going to arise. But here's an example. Let's say that your marketing plan determines that you should be putting a majority of your marketing spending into like activating a better experience at the farmer's market. But a radio station calls you and says that their upcoming spring festival has a sponsorship opportunity and a meat company would be perfect. So you'd have access to thousands of attendees. You'd be able to sample your product and expand your customer base. So what do? What questions would you want to ask? Who are the attendees? How much does this cost? And where will your company brand be exposed to your audience and for what period? And ultimately, you'll need to make a decision about whether diverting from the farmer's market plan to sponsor a festival will allow you to stay on brand and achieve your sales goals in a better, easier, or cheaper way. So knowing where you're headed is critical to knowing when to adjust, and a marketing plan just helps you facilitate that. So again, we talked about SMART goals, but let's talk about some vocabulary and definitions when you're planning your marketing. So a marketing goal is a specific and measurable objective that helps you meet your broader business goals. It can be anything from generating high quality leads and raising brand awareness to increasing customer value and improving your referral rate. And a campaign without a clear goal is essentially a waste of time and money. It's your resources that are on the line. So a goal is aspirational and it's singular. So it might look something like, we want to increase website traffic, or we want more engagement on social media. And both are marketing goals, while we want to be the #1 brand in our industry is a business goal. So a marketing strategy is a plan of action. So it's different from, say, the larger marketing goal. When you start talking about strategy, you're talking about a plan or a policy that is designed to achieve that goal. And often there are individual strategies built around the 4 Ps to achieve your goals, right? It's your product, your price, your place, and the promotion. Now, they're an example of a marketing mix or the combined tools and methodologies used by marketers to achieve these marketing objectives. So we'll dive into that in a little bit as well. And then there are marketing tactics. Are there marketing tactics are the specific activities you use to execute your strategy, right? So you've got your goal, you've got your strategy, and now you've got tactics. And these can be digital marketing strategies. For example, there are potentially hundreds of tactics. But put another way, your marketing strategy is the game plan that lays out how you're going to reach your target audience and engage them over time. Your tactics are the individual plays you use to fulfill the strategy and reach the goal. And we'll run through some of those examples in a moment. Fourth is, in your planning, you want to think about your customer. So customer-centric is thinking about the customer first. You're putting the customer at the center of your process. And what happens, so for example, what happens in the daily life of your target customer? Do you know? Or what things happen in the world or in your community or in their lives that are related to what you offer that may be inspiring or interesting to your customer or linked to your brand? So these are things that we developed kind of in that first session, but we're going to expound on that in this session. The next one is business-centric activities, right? And business-centric is when you put your business needs or operations, your supply chain, your harvests first. So while they say the customer is always right, that still needs to consider the structure, limitations, and operations of your business, especially smaller businesses. And lastly, the marketing calendar. It's just what it sounds like. It's an entire year or longer that is used to lay out and plan your marketing activity based upon your customer-centric and business-centric inputs working together to achieve marketing goals. So again, right, we're finding our smartest goal. So it's specific, meaning it's well-defined, it's clear and unambiguous, it's measurable with specific criteria that measure your progress towards the accomplishment of the goal. It's achievable, meaning it's attainable and not impossible to achieve. It's relevant and within reach. It's realistic and it's relevant to your business and your brand. And it's time-based with a clearly defined timeline, including a starting date and a target date. So the purpose is to create urgency. So you could say that your goal for your meat company is to become the preeminent meat brand where you live. How is that not a smart marketing goal? Well, it's kind of more like a vision statement. Maybe it's realistic, but is it timely on a marketing plan horizon? It's certainly a stretch business goal or an inspirational vision, but it's not a marketing goal. So the first exercise that we're going to do together is we're going to make an attempt at writing a SMART marketing goal together. So a SMART goal would be framed like this, and here's an example. We want to sell 100% of our May beef harvest shares by March 25th, or we want to grow our CSA subscriber base by 25% by September 1st. So we're going to start the clock and take 3 to 5 minutes and write down a single goal, one goal that you feel will create the most success for your business in the next 12 months. And make sure it's a SMART goal, right? So make sure this is your most important goal for the year, as we'll be using this goal today and over the coming weeks to build upon. So take 3 to 5 minutes to write that goal right now.
Do you mind going back a slide, Michelle, so we can see what the SMART goals are?
What do we have, about 60 seconds, Aubrey?
All right, I think that's about time.
Okay. How was that? Thumbs up? Did it feel good? Was it confusing? I see Brett, he gave me a little like, ah. Anybody want to share their draft?
Hi, well, my name is Dorothea Litson. What I wrote is to increase meat sale at the farmers market by 30% by the end of September 2025.
Great. That's very specific. I like that. Read it one more time.
To increase meat sale at the farmers market by 30% by the end of September 2025.
Great. Thank you, Dorothea, for sharing. Appreciate that. That's a great SMART goal. And we're going to talk about some of the planning that you can do around those goals and your goals, everybody's goals. But before we move into developing strategies and tactics, it's usually a valuable exercise to identify your business-focused and customer-focused milestones and events. And these will ultimately be the fuel for better, more strategic marketing plans. So you have taken the time to build a scaffolding of reality around your marketplace and your business needs. So by business focused, I mean a list of the specifics of how, when, where you go to market. These are internal, operationally driven milestones that will take place during the coming year. And each business type is different. So these will be very specific to your business operations. So list the business activity and the date with as much specificity as you can. And when you start thinking about your business-centric activities, like I said, it's different for each business. You know, obviously it's different for each industry, but even within our industry, when we're talking about meat and meat sales, it can be very different based on your business structure, what your product mix is, you know, all of those things. Like some people are doing farmers markets, others might be doing whole animal shares, right? So think about, when do you harvest? Or when is your farm store open? Or when do you typically start taking orders? What time of year is that? If you're selling to restaurants or retailers, when do they place orders? And when do you cut off your orders for the season? Are there seasonal auctions that you attend? Or are there other parameters around when you sell your products? So think about these questions for all the parts of your business and just jot a few of them down right now. Okay. So in contrast to business-centric activities, we also want to look at customer-centric activities. And these are a list of external marketplace factors that surround your business. So think of these as coming from your customer's world versus from your world. It's just a different lens, right? So list your customer-centric activities just right next to your business ones, and the dates with as much specificity as you can. So think about your farmer's market schedule. When does it open? When is the farmer's market over for the season? Maybe key dates on local school calendars, when school begins, when school ends, and key breaks. Maybe seasonal festivals in your area and other cultural events or holidays, meat holidays, excuse me, New Year's, Valentine's Day, which is next week, Father's Day, Memorial Day, and holidays like that. Or National Steak Day. Did you even know that there was a National Steak Day? There is. So think about how your customers and how you might engage with them in a way and at a time when they're predisposed to be in the mood or like happy or or they need the products that you have to sell to them. So thinking about those two buckets and those two activities, the next exercise that we're going to do is, you know, creating these events on your calendar, right? So essentially what we're doing right now is we're writing these things down in these exercises so that we can migrate them to the marketing calendar at the end of the session. So create 2 to 4 marketing events for your 2025 marketing calendar. Maybe make 2 of them business focused and 2 of them customer focused, or some mix of that. And just take a couple of minutes to do that right now. And even if you don't know the exact dates of these events, write them down anyway. We can always add the dates later.
Take about 1 more minute.
for all of the people who I can see who have their cameras on. I love this part. You're an amazing group, just doing the work. I love it. That's what it takes. Just doing the work, and we're here together doing it. Anybody want to share a business-focused activity that's specific to their business, or a customer-centric activity, one or the other? How about I put somebody on the spot? How about Christian?
Great. I was just going
Oh, good.
to turn mine on. Yeah, my business focus marketing event is in July because that's when our green grass is really slowing. Cattle have really done well on the spring flush, and it's a great time where the meat quality is at its peak, and also coincides with the time when we're working cattle, and it's very easy to load some finished animals onto our trailer and to the butcher.
Great. So what is the customer focused event? Like from a marketing perspective.
Oh, I see. I haven't thought about the customer that much yet. No.
Well, I mean, I'll give you this one for free. Maybe it's just announcing that, right? Like maybe you're announcing it and trying to build excitement around that specific customer-centric activity.
Love it.
Jot that down. Anybody else want to share maybe a business-focused event? Don't make me call on you.
We've got a couple in the chat here, Michelle. Anna said May is, well, this is a customer, but May is National Beef Month, so they'll be doing a big promotion for that.
Great.
And Amy says open day, farmers market, butcher dates, working calves twice, and breeding. And Brett has his hand raised. Go ahead, Brett.
I didn't want to get put on the spot. Thought I'd better.
Love that.
We're operating on a relatively small scale and sort of early on in our development, right? So we're at a place in our journey where it's a little bit like I have to imagine the future, right? I have to imagine where we're headed, how our how our pastures are developing, like how our carrying capacity changes, how our right? I have to imagine a lot. But one thing that I've thought about, given our our whole context, to kind of meet a market that is probably relatively dense with the kind of target consumer that I think will really appreciate what we're doing is to market almost exclusively at a mobile value-added farm stand, right? And serve inflated priced, grass-fed hamburgers at the music festivals that we want to be at as a family, and things like that. So I marked down a couple of the the folk fests that we like to go to annually. I don't know what the dates are, but that's a thing. Leads to a lot of homework around how to get in as vendors and start to do that. So that's kind of a business goal, but it's thinking about how we can leverage that, which hopefully would be a profitable opportunity to engage with a customer base that we would cultivate in the long term. Does that?
So yeah, I mean, that is definitely I mean, it sounds more like a customer-centric event, right? That you would put on your marketing calendar. Whether that would be something that fits within the 12 months, right? Like we're already in February, so it's really like 10 more months to the year, is something you'd have to assess, like for your own business, right? But let's work with it for now as more of a customer-centric event. Like if you were going to open, say, a mobile farm store, that might be a business-centric event that we could put on the marketing calendar. Does that make sense, the distinction? The festival is one customer-centric, and you opening a farm store on your farm or something would be more business-centric. Does that make sense, the distinction between those two?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Great. Well, thank you both for sharing. We're going to dive a little bit deeper, and we're going to look at how we want to start thinking about our marketing calendar. So after this session, you will get a link to an actual template for a marketing calendar that will make this process hopefully a little bit easier. But here are some examples of, say, some key business activities. So maybe in the spring, by March 15th, you'll be harvesting 3 steer, and maybe your spring CSA starts May 1st, or maybe you're opening a farm store like we just talked about by, you know, April 20th or whatever on Earth or near Earth Day. And then you have some key customer activities that might be relevant to your business. You might have a Valentine's Day promotion promoting ribeye steaks for couples for Valentine's Day, right? Like do dinner at home and have a T-bone or something. And then, of course, the Real Burger of Earth Day, which, you know, a little bit of self-promotion here. The Good Meat Project facilitates this promotion that you're all welcome to join. And it kicks off in April. So those might be some examples of activities that you might want to have in your marketing calendar. So if you have any questions about the marketing calendar, I encourage you to put them in the chat. We're going to go right into strategy development. So you have an idea now about your goals, and you've got some ideas about your activities, right? Differentiating between customer and business activities. And you've seen a little bit about how we're going to use the calendar to plan out some of these activities. But now we want to find some of the strategies, right? We want to talk about the development of strategies. This is essentially your game plan, not your plays. So once you know your goal and what you're trying to achieve, now we need to explore different ways that you can achieve that goal and then settle on a few of the best strategies. Remember, we can't do everything. We can't be all things to all people, and we have capacity limits, resource limits, time limits. So we've got to choose the best strategies to meet our goals. And the reason we took the step to identify business and customer-focused activities is that it will add some fuel to your thinking about strategies and tactics. So your marketing strategy is the way that you'll reach your goal. It's not the specific action that you'll take. Those are tactics. So think of your strategies like different buckets or containers for organizing your tactics. And each distinct strategy will hold specific tactics that fit the organizing theme of that bucket. So for example, here's a sample goal. You want to sell out of all available spring harvest shares by May 2025. Some simple strategies. So here's your bucket, right? Here are the strategies is you want to educate your audience about whole animal shares. You want to create a sense of urgency or scarcity. You want to communicate with higher frequency with your audience between January and April. Maybe you want to target the more experienced meat shopper customer base, and you want to leverage previous customers as influencers or people who validate your brand and your products. But you want to try to keep each strategy from overlapping with others. So you want to make each strategy as distinct as possible. It is okay to have a few strategies that can achieve your goal, but prioritizing one or two is best for now. So now we want to strategize on the how. how can you achieve your SMART marketing goal? We don't want to talk about the what you'll actually do. We want to talk about the how. So try to avoid being super specific in terms of like what you're going to do. You really want to talk about how you're going to do it. Like sending emails to potential customers is a tactic, right? So we want to stay away from those right now. We just want to talk about the things that some of these examples, right? You want to educate, you want to create this sense of urgency, you want to communicate with higher frequency. You want to target maybe a different target customer, and maybe you want to use your current customers or your current people that are connected to your brand to validate your brand and your products. So take a few moments to just think about the how. Great. Let's keep this train on track. Anybody want to share just one thing that they've written down for how? Maybe Kristen.
So thanks for choosing me. The goal that I chose is we want to schedule and fill 12 farm camp sessions for children ages 5 to 12 in the summer of 2025.
Great.
So then my strategy was advertise at local schools and libraries in March and April.
That's really specific. It's not bad. That sounds a little leaning into a tactic, right? So maybe advertise just that, right? Or
Okay.
read it
Get the
again.
word out to families.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly, right?
Okay.
So we're really, because there could be a lot of tactics that you would use to support that strategy, right? If you're reaching out to families, there's multiple ways that you can do that. And that's the how, right? The what you want to do is you want to reach out to families.
Yep.
Right? Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that. Okay. So just to dive in a little bit further here. So we had a strategy, right? In this example, which I'll go back a slide, right? The sample goal was selling out of available spring harvest shares by May 2025. Right? So the strategy that supports that is educating, our audience about the benefits of buying whole animal shares. So taking that one, we want to develop tactics. And this is the how, right? How are you going to educate the audience? Well, some sample tactics are maybe you'll create some video shorts featuring the benefits of buying in bulk. Or maybe you'll host an Instagram live with your followers about how to buy in bulk and what to expect from buying a whole share, right? Maybe you'll offer a free cooking class for anyone who buys a full share. Or maybe you'll download and share the Good Meat Project's resources that help communicate those things to customers so you don't have to develop them. And I want to just kind of say before we go to the next slide, that a lot of these things, like there's lots of tactics that you can use, but if you look at some of these sample tactics, they really speak to consumer pain points. And we're going to talk about pain points in a future session, right? But when you talk about creating a video series of shorts featuring the benefits of buying in bulk, that speaks to a pain point that maybe customers aren't as informed about it, or maybe there's some confusion about buying in bulk that they don't understand, that you can clarify for them. Does that make sense? So that strategy really is helping them solve a problem, right? Setting expectations about what they're going to get in their bulk share helps them understand what they're going to get. Free cooking classes helps them understand, well, how are they going to, use oxtail? Or how are they going to make short ribs? Or what are they going to do with the neck? If they're buying a whole share. And Good Meat Project resources, we've done a lot of this for you. So we certainly encourage you to download some of these resources if these are appropriate. So these are some examples from our bulk buying toolkit that are free for you to use and share if they are in line with the tactics, some of the tactics that you're going to use to support your strategy. Here are some others. Here's some examples of recipes that we developed with Tia and Matthew Rayford at Galliard Farms in Georgia, talking about grilling, braising, sauteing, and roasting. Those are all available to you for free. And you'll be getting the links to that. So now I want you to take a few moments to write down 2 to 4 tactics that you'll use to deliver your strategy. And if you want me to go back to the samples, just as a point of reference. So like Kristen shared her strategy, now, Kristen, you want to take that and like drill it down to some of the tactics. Like, how are you going to reach that audience? What are you going to do exactly to reach that audience? And by the way, I will say, as you're thinking about this, do not exclude offline marketing tactics. So there's online marketing, which is like doing an Instagram live, doing a webinar or creating videos or tagging people on Instagram, doing an Instagram live. Those are all online activities. But offline activities are equally as viable and effective. Things like being in person at the farmer's market, handing out flyers, or any other kind of physical activities that you would do in front of an audience. Hosting a class in person, for example. So think about that for just a couple of minutes. Okay. So I want you to hold on to those strategies for a second. We can dive into those in a moment, but I want to just share this with you. So this is a marketing calendar spreadsheet template that the Good Meat Project created, and it will be available to you. I just wanted to show it to you as a resource so that you have an idea of, when you're thinking about your key business activities, your key customer activities, your key marketing campaigns, that they can all exist in one place, right? They can all be in one place so that when you fill this in each month, you create your budget, you've got your activities, you know where and when you're going to be doing what, right? You know which which activities are where, what you're doing at different times of the year. You have it all in one place, and it becomes really easy to take this kind of master marketing calendar, and you have it there. Then you start planning out your strategies, your tactics, kind of all of the things that support these activities. So I just wanted to show that to you. And we're right at an hour, so this has been great. We're right on time. So we're coming to the end of this session. And before next week, we encourage you to complete your calendar. You're going to have to tighten that single goal. You really want to tighten it up so that it's very clear. It's your SMART goal, right? You've got all of the details kind of in your SMART goal. And then you want to also craft the strategies that are going to support that goal so that you can accomplish it. And then explore what your tactics are. So that's basically how we're going to work together. We're going to break for some questions here in a second. But I do want to just kind of lay the foundation for next week, because next week you're going to be learning about email and social media and newsletter marketing. We've got an incredible facilitator, Mia Cole, who's going to be facilitating that session. So think about maybe what questions you might have for that. And think about how to connect what you've done so far in this process. And get ready for the rubber to meet the road. So we'll break here for some questions about what we've talked about in this session. And so we can see everybody.
And just a reminder for everyone, we're on a roll here in our minds, but we'll actually take 1 week break next week to give folks a chance to kind of catch up on all that we've gone over here, and also catch up on your personal lives. And then we'll reconvene on February 21st with Mia Cole. We'll wrap all that up at the end too and send you reminder emails, but just wanted to drop that reminder. We'll take one little break to give everyone a little breathing space. And for the Q&A, feel free to drop any questions in the chat, and we will keep track of those and relay them to Michele. You're also welcome to raise your hand with the icon or your actual real life hand, or just take yourself off mute and we can have a discussion that way.
And happy to start with any questions that are in the chat. Oh, Dorothea, please.
I also put it in the chat, but after reviewing this, so you go from a goal and then you develop your strategies. Your strategy, that's just the big how, right? It's like how I'm going to accomplish that goal. But then the tactics gets very specific about how you're going to do the strategy, how you're going to implement the strategy.
That's correct. So the strategy is the how, right? The tactics are the what.
Okay. I
right?
have it the wrong way.
The goal is the big thing that you want to accomplish.
Okay.
And then the strategies are, how are you going to accomplish the goal? And then the tactics are, what are you going to do to drive forward your strategy that helps you accomplish the goal?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And as folks are thinking of questions, Michele, I'll just share, we had a good example of a tactic here, which was to build out a downloadable meal plan for live share purchases, build out a sample or a standard cut sheet for live share purchases, social media posts geared towards the ease and education of purchasing live shares, post recipe cards for the more unknown or undesirable cuts, and send recipe cards with each live share delivery.
That's a lot, and it's great, and it's a little out of context for me, Anna. So if you could help me understand what your strategy is. What is the how, or what is the goal that you're trying to accomplish by using those tactics? Is Anna still on with
Yeah,
us?
I'm here. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, we shared everything in the chat. So our goal was to share, by the end of April 2025 to share, to sell either 5 live shares or 10 half shares. And then our strategy was the farmers markets are from June to September, so we'll announce those. We're going to use those opportunities to market to potential customers by sending them promo codes to track their online sales. From the leads obtained in those farmers markets, basically doing conversion tracking, and to educate customer base about the ease of ordering live shares, use the current economic climate to encourage stocking up, and to push the limited amount available for spring 2025 to create urgency.
Okay, great. So your goal is to sell 5 whole shares or 10
Half. Yeah.
half shares,
Mhm.
right?
Correct.
Okay, so that's the big goal. Your couple of strategies. So the how I heard in there were being at the farmer's market and talking to, like, engaging people at the farmer's market, kind of letting them know about who you are and that you have these products available.
Yeah, we'll still market to our, because we have an online store, so we'll still use that platform to market our client base there as well.
Okay, so you're going to use online and offline strategies, right, to achieve the goal.
Correct.
And then there was some tactics kind of peppered in there with your strategies. I heard QR codes, I heard flyers, I heard education, recipe cards.
Yes, some of that is the online strategy or what we'll post through social media, and the other part of that is the face-to-face there at farmers markets.
Right. I just want to make sure all of that sounds great. I want to make sure that you're thinking about them in these very specific buckets, that your goal is in one bucket, your strategies are in one bucket, and your tactics are in another.
Yes.
Awesome. Those are all great. And I also want to encourage you to limit it to 2 or 3, right?
Okay.
You really want to, because it's endless. You could do lots of things, right? But you want to look at your business model and your capacity, who's going to be doing the what, and you want to limit your strategies to 2 or 3 of the best ones that suit you, suit your capacity, suit your goal, suit your business model, really drill it down a little bit, because you want to be effective. It's really exciting when you think about this through in this process, when you start thinking about, oh, I could do this and I could do that and I could do that. And I just want to caution you, all of you, to like really streamline yourselves to think about what is the most effective strategy, what's going to get the best outcome for the time and resources that I'm going to put into implementing these tactics, right? What does it take for you to do any number of posts? What does it take for you to create recipe cards and print them and have them shipped and then bring them, pack them, and do all the things? I just want you to have these realistic, expectations of yourself while you're building these things too, because you want to be effective. And so you want to make sure that the things that you choose, those strategies that you choose to support your goal, remember, there are tactics that are underneath the strategy, and all of those tactics require action items. There are things to do. So I just want to just put a pin in that and make sure that, we're all being realistic, but also choosing the best strategies to accomplish the goal. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Questions? Any more?
Uh, Meredith actually had one. What are some good examples of tactics that are not event centric?
Tactics that are not event centric. So I need you to expound on that, because if we're talking about strategies that support the goal, right, which are based on our business centric events and customer centric events, I just need a little more clarity there.
I'm happy to explain a little bit more. So if your goal is in relation to sales, which it often is, I feel like there's a lot of cool event ideas, but like not necessarily the know-how or the time to execute them. And so I'm just looking for different, and maybe strategies is a better word, but yeah, so like what else can you do besides put on an event, you know? Like is there anything that comes to your mind, or is that hyper business specific?
So let me just make sure I understand. So I think what you're asking is if there's not like a physical event that we're talking about.
Yes, if you don't want to coordinate a physical event, what else can you do as far as
So,
tactics?
well, I mean, so when we were talking about business centric events and customer centric events, those don't necessarily actually have to be physical events, right? Like if I'm going to harvest 5 steer, that's considered a business event, right? But it's not really an event that people are coming to. It's really just a thing that's happening in my business that I want to have it on my marketing calendar, right? Because I know my goal is I want to sell 5 whole shares, right? Like um who is that? Anna? When we were, was that
Yeah.
Anna who said that? Yeah. Okay. So if I know that's my goal, and I know my harvest date, it is an event, but it's not an event that any of my customers are going to come to. But my customers might be interested in knowing that, because I need to work back from that date and say, okay, well, if one of my strategies is to advertise to get the word out about these shares, then my tactics are, all right, I've got to work back from the harvest date to know that, all right, if I'm going to advertise, and one of my tactics is I'm going to post it on social media, I'm going to do an Instagram live about bulk buying shares, like those are the 2 tactics that I'm going to use, then I need to be able to put those in my calendar, right? So I think, the distinction between like the semantic use of events, we're really talking about like things that are happening, not necessarily like live events. Although if you are choosing to do live events because that's part of your goal or it's part of your business model because you're already at the farmer's market, like going to the farmer's market is an event. It's a business event and it's a consumer event because consumers are at the farmer's market, right?
Mhm. Yeah, and I guess that kind of leads into my next question was, should you combine business focused and consumer focused events? For example, like opening your farm stand on Memorial Day, or is it best to keep them more separate?
I think they can be combined. I think as long as you're clear about your goal, you're clear about your strategy, right? Like if you're opening your farm stand on Memorial Day, that's great. That's great. If that's one of your business centric and consumer centric events, yes, that can absolutely be combined.
Well, I
You'll
guess my
still
question is, should it be? Like, is that a smart way to do this, is to combine when you can?
I don't think there's a hard and fast rule there. I think it's really dependent on the business, your capacity, like what's happening in your business. It would be difficult for me to say, oh, yeah, yeah, you should open your, for example, like Brett's example with like burgers. Like, would it be great to have a burger event um, on the 4th of July? Yeah, maybe. Would it be great to have a burger event on the Real Burger of Earth Day on April 22nd? Yes, is the answer, right? That is a consumer-facing event. You can think about the tactics that you would use to kind of support that business-centric and consumer-centric event, right? Obviously, you'd want to advertise, you'd want to reach target customers, you'd want to do some consumer education. You might want to, if you were going to do it on Earth Day, sorry for all this GMP promotion here, but if you wanted to do it on Earth Day, you could join, be a participant, and we'll supply all the materials for you, right? Like we make it easy for producers and retailers and anybody who's doing these types of promotions. So yes is the short answer. They can be combined, but just be really thoughtful about the why. Why do you want to combine them? Does it make your is there some benefit as you're thinking about your big goal, right? Does it help you get there sooner, faster, cheaper, or more affordably, more effectively? Or or are you just going to end up in the fray, right? Because sometimes with, holidays, you'll just end up in the fray. No, people may not even notice, especially if you have a small list or not as many followers, like you don't have 10,000 followers, you might just end up in the fray and it might not be as impactful or effective if you had just done your thing to meet your goal with your strategies and your tactics. And that's always a consideration, right? You don't always have to, or I'll say it this way. It's important to think about like how it benefits you and your bottom line, how many resources you're using to make this thing come alive. And, just thinking about from a very strategic perspective, like what am I giving up to get what I want, right? If I want to sell 5 live shares, what am I willing to give up to get that? I know I've got to put in the time. I might need to spend a little money, right? I've got to put in this brain time, this time right now that we're talking about, like building out this marketing calendar so that I have the map for the entire year. So I know what I'm going to be promoting in May or in April or in July or in November. I know what I'm doing in my slow season. That's another great reason to build out a marketing calendar is you actually get to visually see, okay, this is my slow time. This is my downtime. Do I want to just take a family vacation during that time? Do I need to automate my emails or my social media during this time so that I can actually physically take a break? Or this is my slow time. Maybe I've got some leftover inventory that I really want to push out the door. So maybe, I can fill up my downtime with, and which will help meet your goal, right, of offloading inventory is, maybe during my downtime, I can just do some social media posts that really capitalize on like getting this inventory out the door. Or maybe you meet somebody who's like, oh, I'm having this event, right, in September, and I'm going to need like 50 pounds of ground. If you have a marketing calendar, then you can look at that before you say yes, right? Because we don't have to say yes to everything and every event. We can step back and say, you know what, let me get back to you. Look at your marketing calendar, see what you've already got on deck, and then do the analysis like, are the benefits going to outweigh the cost of all the shifting around in my marketing calendar that I've got to do this year? Is it going to meet my goal? Is this a good strategy for me? Will I be able to afford it? How much time is it going to take? Da, da, da. And you just kind of go through those questions. These are really important like questions to ask ourselves, especially starting a business or trying to grow a business, because there's an equilibrium that has to happen. You don't have all the money in the world to do all the advertising and hire all the people to do the things, right? And there's time constraints. You've got to get some sleep. You've got to be with your family. You have to run your business, do your taxes, all the things, right? There's got to be some balance and equilibrium with that, which is why at the beginning of this session or midway through this session, we talked about making sure that you're picking the strategies, like 2, maybe 3, right? That are going to be the best for how you're going to achieve your large goal. And maybe you only have 1 large goal this year. You don't need to have 5 goals. You might just have 1, right? And it might just be, well, I want to do this event in September, or I want to sell these shares, or I want to build my brand this year. I don't have a product yet, but I want to build my brand and I want to get, people to know about what we're doing here. Those are very different goals that require very different strategies and very different tactics. So it's really important to be clear about what it is that you're doing, why, what are the benefits for you, and how are you going to accomplish it. So hopefully, we started this session with the majority of you saying you wanted to feel more confident in building a marketing strategy. And then the second to that was understanding how to build a roadmap for marketing this year. And my hope is that we accomplish that. If we did, I think Aubrey has another survey and poll.
Yes, I will launch that. And I was also thank you, Michelle, for that, and Meredith for those good questions. I was also just about to drop in the chat too, just a question of whether anybody already has a marketing calendar in place. I know as farmers and ranchers, one of the challenges that we face is that there's so many different plans for us to keep track of. I know a lot of people have, you've got business plans, you've got your grazing plan, you've got your rotation plan for your poultry maybe, plus a social media plan, a marketing plan. And I'm just curious if anyone has cracked the code on the best way to combine and keep track of all of those. And I will also launch, we've got one more little poll here, and we've got time for maybe 1 or 2 questions if anyone has any last questions for Michelle here. You'll launch a poll. Here we go. And we've got a poll up if you've got a moment to click your thoughts here.
I love seeing this in real time.
Yeah, you too.
Come on, there's a few more votes, a few more folks. Shandy, I will read the question out to you and you can put your answer in the chat. So what is the one marketing plan activity? I'm sorry, let me start over. What is the one marketing planning activity you'll do after this session? Choice number 1 is develop my SMART goal. Choice number 2 is craft the strategies to achieve my SMART goal. Number 3, outline the specific tactics I'll use to achieve my SMART goal. And 4, develop my own marketing calendar. There's a clear front runner right now.
Thanks,
And
Shandy.
Shandy says, develop my own marketing calendar. Last chance to vote. Anyone else? A few more. There's 1 or 2 more of you. Be great. If not, the clear winner is develop my own marketing calendar. And that is music to my ears. My hope is that you also develop your SMART goal and you also develop your strategies, you also develop those tactics, and then you put them into your marketing calendar so that you have this roadmap for the year, for yourself, for your business, so that you can just have that. Because otherwise you're reacting. You're reacting to events. You're reacting to, oh, I didn't make enough, or I didn't sell enough this quarter, or you're reacting to what's happening in maybe your life and your business at the same time, and one can't get the attention that the other, you're splitting your attention. But if you've got a plan, you've got this marketing plan, it at least gives you the skeleton, the bones, the map to help navigate your path for the year. You can always add to it. You can always change things. If things change in your business, sometimes you have to pivot, right? I think we all have had that experience. We're having that experience collectively as a nation right now. Where things are happening and maybe we have to pivot, right? We've got to think about things differently. We've got to think about different tactics and ways to accomplish our goals. So I appreciate you participating and being active and participating in this session today. Really looking forward to seeing you again. I'll be teaching week 4. Don't forget, I'm sure I'll let Aubrey take over now with any announcements that we have for our session coming up and office hours, but really appreciate your attention. Thanks for letting me teach. I love doing this work. It's really important. And of course, you can always email us with any questions that you might have, or if you need or want access to any of our resources.
And we'll drop that email address in the link here. Yeah, thank you so much, Michele, for that really dynamic session. As someone who also has a small farm business, even having heard you teach before, I always get a lot out of it. So thank you so much for that. Just a couple reminders. As I said, we're going to take a little 1-week break just to give folks a chance to kind of digest what we've gone over so far, give you a chance to put together a marketing plan if you have the time, and also just catch up on your own lives and your farm businesses and everything. So we will reconvene here same time on February 21st, and that is going to be focusing on social media and newsletter marketing. So bring your questions and bring your challenges too. We want to get real about what is and isn't working with social media and newsletter marketing. And that will be with Mia Cole, who is, again, a really deft marketer and a great instructor. And she has taught these courses with us before. So we're excited for you to get to learn from her. And I know social media can feel like a weapon and a hindrance at the same time. So we'll dive into all of that with Mia. For those who are a part of Quivira's Soil to Supper and New Agrarian programs, we have group office hours open to you tomorrow. That'll be with Craig McCanch, our instructor from last week. I will send out an email reminder about that. Again, that's only open to the Quivira cohorts. In the future, we hope to open that up to everybody. Yeah, so I'll send an email out about that. And then we are recording this session, so we will also send an email with a link to view the recording if you missed any part or would just like a reminder. And we will also send a link to the template for the marketing calendar that Michele showed you, so that you can make a copy of that and have a template to get up and running with your own marketing calendar. Great. So with that, I just want to thank everyone again for coming and sharing your time with us. Look for an email in your inboxes, and we will see you back here on February 21st. Thanks, everyone.